And I don't think fans will put up with that for long. They may not pony up for a buyout, but they certainly will not come to games.
All right. Let's get into that. What's the good word? Hey. Well, I got a word. I don't know if it's good. What is going on, everybody? It's your boy POLK, a.k.a. a.k.a. the goddamn truth. It is episode 116 of the Hangover. Spring ball, still a go. The FSU is going to do a scrimmage this weekend, this Saturday, which I think will be their unofficial spring game. Obviously, it won't be televised, and obviously, we're not having a spring game. But I think this one will simulate that. But the transfer portal opens up tomorrow. The spring portal opens tomorrow. And that's the focus of this show today. FSU has already had a few, and we're going to talk about them, transfer guys that have hit the portal. I'm hoping that we have some guys that we're going to be targeting in the portal. I told you, man, that this spring portal is going to be interesting. There's some talent out there. I don't know if you guys are paying attention, but there's guys hitting the portal. I personally think the spring quarterback portal class might be better than the portal class we originally got in the winter. I don't know, especially for guys that would fit what Gus Malzahn wants to do. But we're going to talk about all that. That's really going to be the focus of this show. Tomorrow, I'm going to go live again tomorrow. So I'm going to give you a double header back-to-back, day-to-day. But tomorrow, the plan is to talk. We're going to get all of our FSU gripes or praise or whatever you want to talk about Florida State. Obviously, because this is 863 Seminole TV. I want y'all to come in here. I want you to say everything you got to say because tomorrow I'm going to have a guest on. The plan for tomorrow is to have a guest on, and we're going to focus on this NIL stuff. We're going to focus on a NIL representative who's currently he's a former college quarterback, and I'll be plugging all this stuff a little bit later, but just a sneak peek, right? Former college quarterback, former XFL player. Well, let me make sure I get all the credentials right, man. I gotta do it the right way or not do it at all, right? Former CFL pro quarterback from Boca, so he's a South Florida native. Y'all know Jurg. Jurg actually coached him. Kevin Anderson, man, he's gonna come in here and he's gonna talk some NIL. We're gonna try to talk some. We'll talk ball. We'll talk ball as well. I mean, you got a guy like this. He originally committed to Marshall coming out of high school. I think he ended up at Fordham. I think he's Fordham's all-time leading touchdown passer. But we're gonna bring him on. See what's his opinion on the way to NIL, this Nico situation and all that. See what that NIL talk is about. And then we're going to also talk some ball. But today, we want to focus on all of the Florida State stuff. Whatever y'all want to get off y'all chest. Like I said, these are going to become like some therapy sessions for, I think, a lot of people. Because there's a lot of, not only do we have guys hitting transfer portal, there's a lot of rumors, man, that we're going to throw some rumors out here. They're not coming from me. They're not coming from me, by the way. I'm just talking about it. So we're going to throw some rumors out here, see what y'all's thoughts are. But as always, man, before we get into all these hot topics and have a little fun here tonight, hit the like button, subscribe, and share the video. Let everybody know that we are live on a Tuesday. Share that video and hit that chat so we can hit this roll call. We're going to hit this roll call, then we're going to get right into it, man. We're going to do the roll call and then get right into the topics at hand. So get in that chat. Again, hit my like button. Paid my bills. Hit the like button. And share the video. Share the video, please. It's always the big thing with me. Share the video. All right. Here we go. I'm hitting the roll call right now. Of course, as y'all come in, y'all know I got you. Priscilla Chestnut, Dupree Hundo, Grand Champion, Champ 99, Antoine, Jason, KCS, Omega the Truth. And that's all we got. That's all we got as of right now, but that's okay. Giuseppe, okay, good to see you. Good to see you. Giuseppe's in the building. All right. Let's keep it pimping. And again, as people come in, we'll just have to shout them out if they come in. I got to admit, I feel like I am I'm making some people upset. And it's not my fault. I'm just talking about what the rumors are. Lewis, what's good? Let's do it this way. We'll do it this way. Let's start with what we know, and then we'll get into some speculation. So we'll circle back. This is what we know. What we know in the last week or so, I know it's Tuesday, but I would say in a 7-day period, FSU has had Trevor Jackson. If we remember, Trevor Jackson. That was a guy that we thought, okay, maybe, right? Maybe this is a guy from Orlando. Maybe this is a guy who can do something in a Gus Malzahn system. Absolutely not. Trevor Jackson has decided to hit the transfer portal, which you can kind of see the writing on the wall there from the simple fact, if you look at all the reports, granted, what did I say last live stream? Take all the reports with a pretty big grain of salt. Because nobody's there. But even from Mike Norvell's interviews, when Mike Norvell was talking, and he was talking about the quarterbacks, it was Brock Glenn, it was TC, and it was the freshman, Kevin Sperry, not Trevor Jackson. Right? And when I noticed it was Sperry being talked about and not Jackson, I said to myself, uh-oh. Either Jackson's hurt or he's probably on the way out. What's up, D. Thompson? What's up, Montre? And sure enough, this is exactly what happened. Trevor Jackson, a guy that maybe we thought could get some burn. Now he's not going to get any type of chance to perform in Gus Malzahn's system. Trevor Jackson is on his way out into the transfer portal. Good luck to him. Not sure what's going to happen. That's just one more down in that quarterback room that, in my opinion, is not out. I don't know how you look at the quarterback room and have any type of optimism. If I'm just being pretty blunt there. I don't know how you look at that quarterback room and go, yeah, I'm optimistic. And now you lose an extra body. Not saying Trevor Jackson was going to be good, great. Maybe he was absolutely garbage. I don't know. Never got a chance to really see him. But the more, the merrier. That's the way I kind of look at it. But if he wasn't getting any burn, he wasn't getting any time, best for him to move on, maybe find a situation that works for him. And hopefully, FSU will target somebody in the transfer portal, man. And not just a rotate. Like, what's wrong with targeting somebody that can actually challenge TC in this system. Please, for the love of God, please do that. Jalen Early, man. This one's kind of a big one. Now, I'm not going to sit here. What's up, Grill Master? What's up, Almighty? What's up, Brandon? I'm not going to sit here and pretend like Jalen Early was the second coming of Rodney Hudson or something like that. But or Austin Barron. I'm not like, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm not gonna pretend. But when you talk about an offensive line that I'm not so sure can afford to lose bodies, every offensive lineman that Florida State is counting on is a transfer portal guy, by the way. And then you're under the assumption that all those offensive linemen actually hit, which is a huge assumption. Then you have to hope that all those offensive linemen that you got out of the transfer portal, that you hope actually hit out of the transfer portal, actually stay healthy the entire year. Whew. There's another big wrench that can be thrown into the equation. Now you're telling me you're losing Jalen Early, who's probably the first guy off your bench in any rotation, whether that's tackle or inside. Can you name me three people? Name me three offensive linemen, not the starters, that you feel comfortable getting snaps if an injury happens or if you got to rotate. Just three. Three's probably too much. Give me two. And you can't put Jalen Early now. I don't have an answer for you guys. I think Jalen Early's a little bit of a bigger issue than people want. I know every time a player leaves a team, we like to dismiss it or we like to downplay it. We didn't want him anyway. Blase. It's kind of happening with Miami and Zaquan Patterson right now. If you haven't paid attention, he's hit the transfer portal, and now it's coming out from the transfer portal. Now it's coming out that this guy might have had off-field problems, late the practices and meeting. Of course, every time a guy decides to leave a program, then they decide to slander him. There were no reports of that leading up to the transfer portal decision, and then all of a sudden, let's air all his dirty laundry. I tend to not believe those things. I just think that's the games that get played when guys maybe leave when they're not supposed to. With that said, we're not saying anything like that about Jalen Early, but I'm not going to downplay it either. Not because I think Early's some great player, but again, you have zero depth on that offensive line. We were in this same position 2-3 years ago it might have been 3 or 4 years ago, where everybody was like, hey, I like the starters, but as soon as one guy goes down, we're in trouble. And what happened? We are 100% in that situation right now with this offensive line. You might think that FSU hit it out of grand slam with the offensive portal. And we're going to talk a little bit about the offensive line here too, in those portal additions. But before we hit that, what's up, Zay? Before we hit that, what's up, Kenny? Let's just pretend that all those guys are grand slams. You don't have anything on the bench. I'm looking at Champs 99. He says Otto, and at least with Otto, I can say, okay, Otto played a little bit last year. Didn't play great, but granted, first time, growing pains. I will give Otto a pants champ. Otto a pants champ. I will give Otto a pass and say, okay, we'll see what happens with Otto. But there's no way you can add Simmons. There's zero way you can There's no way anybody's looking at Lucas Simmons and expecting anything from a guy who missed a year of development due to an injury and is still being considered behind the curve by most people that's covered that program. Granted, again, take what you want from any of that. Estes also has never seen the field at Florida State. I don't know how you can look at Estes and go, that's a guy that we're going to count on to get on the field in a reserve situation. Man's been at Florida State for 5 years now and never seen the field. That's crazy. Come on, Champs 99. We got to do better. Rizzy, I'll give you Rizzy. Rizzi's a guy, played some last year. I think he'd actually been hurt this spring, if I'm not mistaken. But he's probably a guy that they will definitely look to in some rotation. So you have Rizzi and Otto. Okay, so you gave me two. I'm not counting Estes or Simmons. Come on. You really can't. Simmons, the hope is there that we get something out of that. I get that. There's hope. Estes, if you better, come on. There's no way we're literally looking at Estes and going, yeah, we're going to get something out of him all of a sudden in year 5. Come on now. Ferguson might be a guy, but Ferguson played so terrible last year. Does anybody really want to see Terrence Ferguson out there on the field? So the point I'm making is, I don't know if FSU could afford to lose Jalen early. That's the point. And if you actually go back and watch last year, there were plenty of games where Early was probably playing the best amongst the offensive line. Like that is, especially once Richie Leonard goes down, that's kind of what that was. So I know everybody's going to want to say, oh, Early's not X, Y, and Z, and they're going to want to dismiss it. But for me, that's probably, again, huge loss. I'm not saying it's a huge loss. I am saying probably not something you could afford. Let's see what they do in the portal. Obviously, they get a chance to get in the portal and add some hopefully much-needed depth to the O-line room. I don't know what Simmons is right now, and I don't think Otto could play guard yet, let alone tackle. Jose says, best of luck to Zaquan over here, but I see that too. Can't get too attached to these players. I'm convinced Mike Norvell cannot develop. Once high school recruits did anything, and AZ didn't have a great career here. Hey, man, I'm not getting into that right now. I thought Early had some familiarity with the O-line coach. I mean, I don't know if he did or didn't. I don't know what the reason is for Early leaving. I just know he's going. He's deciding to bounce, and not one of the guys on the O-line. Like, I would love. I don't want to say I would love, but like if Estes dipped, no one would bat an eye. Again, you haven't got old. Has Bryson Estes played one significant snap at Florida State? Like, seriously. Early actually has played plenty of significant snaps at Florida State. I think Otto is our backup center. Montre says, sad. Haven't heard anything about I always mess up his name. I think it's ITT, whatever. But I know you're talking about the kid, like the African kid. And he's an Atkins guy, so who knows if he can ever play. We got to get our trenches together. We got to be ready when we leave for the SEC in 27. Why is Mike Norvell still waiting on edge from any player here for a 2-10 team? Insane, break out the scissors, grow some nuts, and make these cuts. Biscuit just weighed in at 258. He originally weighed 289. Okay, so it sounds like Biscuit lost some weight. Good for him. AZ probably going first round. No, I doubt it. Highly doubted that, actually. I think AZ will go best case scenario, he's a mid-second rounder. I'm more likely seeing end of the second, third round. He's not going first round. I can almost guarantee you he's not going first round. An NIL pool for Early, a guy who doesn't really demand any much money. I'm not sure about that. Not sure about that at all. Coaches may have told him it was better for him to transfer due to lack of playing time. If we're talking about Jalen Early, again, I don't know if I buy that because that's the first guy off the bench for you, in my opinion. And injuries happen on the O-line on a regular basis. So I don't know. Pull up. You saying Early leaving. I'm saying Early has entered the transfer portal. I'm not saying anything. I'm just talking about what's already been reported. Early has entered the transfer portal. Before we move on to the next guy, I was one of them, so I'll take the blame here. As I think most people in the chat were also amongst the fans who really sold this guy, and I think we were just so desperate, man, for positive offensive line recruiting and positive offensive line growth. But Jalen Early was the last straw for Alex. Well, and granted, Alex Atkins is gone. But that vaunted class, that class that put Atkins on the map, that's that Jalen Early, Julian Armella, Quayshawn Sapp, right? Dontre Richardson, Kania Charlton, and Tavius Woody. That's 6 offensive linemen that I just named. That class was supposed to be the class. Out of those 6, 50% of that's blue chip guys. Julian, Quayshawn, and Jalen Early. Do I need to say more? None of those guys ever gave you anything. Julian Armella couldn't get on the field, which is insane. Early was the only one that they got any kind of thing out of. Of course, he's transferred now. Never saw Kania Charlton play a snap. Never saw Quayshawn Sapp play a snap. Never saw Dontre Richardson play a snap. If Alex Atkins wasn't the biggest con man in the history of the Florida State football program, I don't know who was. I don't know. You want to talk about terrible? Is it terrible evals or terrible development or both? I would argue that it's both. It's both. Herb Hand has his work cut out for him, guys. Which is another reason, again, why I don't have confidence in. And I want Lucas Simmons to be great. I want Jonathan Daniels to be great. I want these guys to be good players. But these are Alex Atkins evals, man. These are Herb Hand has his work cut out for him working with, he's gonna try to make chicken salad out of what. We'll see what he can do. You can't name one. Alex Atkins was here for 5 years. 5 years? Yeah, because we're going into the 6th year of Mike Norvell's tenure here. And you can't name one offensive lineman that man recruited that was worth a damn. That really even played for you. Florida State's best offensive lineman in the Mike Norvell tenure has been Dylan Gibbons. Probably Love Taylor. Darius Washington for a year, and that was a Willie Taggart recruit. Who've been the best offensive lineman in the Mike Norvell era? All transfer portal guys? Not one homegrown body on that offensive line. Robert Scott had promise, and then the injuries just completely derailed his career. That is so crazy. But I'll move on. I had to get that off my chest. Just looking at that. Just don't even look at the O-line. Bless Harris. But again, that's a transfer portal guy, Grill Master. But yes, Bless Harris. 100%. 100%. Bless Harris. A guy that we actually let go for buyers. Go figure. I had to get it off my chest. Let's move on. We'll move on to the next player that hit the portal. This one came out not too long ago. Today. Recently, I think within the last 2 or 3 hours. He came to Florida State for a semester. Caught some balls from TC and realized I can't play for this coach. I can't play for this coach or this quarterback because he's trash. 6'7". It was supposed to be the Twin Towers with Deuce and Johnny Wilson 2.0. Instead, Jordan Scott, after a semester, will be hitting the transfer portal. Not a huge loss here, just for the simple fact guys like Boggs are making a lot of There have been talks that Jaylen Brown's improved, and Boggs, and LaWayne McCoy, and Elijah Moore. I think Florida State is good, and I think you can get Jordan Scott out of here and maybe bring in another receiver. Again, the spring portal window is on and popping. So I 100% think you can find somebody to replace Jordan Scott. But Jordan Scott, again, after a semester, has decided he is going to hit the transfer portal. So, what's up, Island Boy? This one, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like this is a Jalen Early type of deal. I'm gonna continue to dump on TC. Continue. Listen, if you think TC is a good quarterback, bro, that's fine. I'm not gonna convince you not. He's not. At this point, there's nothing I can do to convince you that he's not a good quarterback. There's film on him. There's stats on him. There's analytics on him that all tell you he is a C- at his best. And the only reason Florida State fans think he's good is because he torched you for 2 years under that Adam Fuller defense. That's the only reason why. But again, there's film stats and analytics that prove he is barely an average quarterback. Barely. I can't convince you that he's not a good quarterback, and I no longer will try to. If you believe he's good and you believe he's going to come over to here and be Jordan Travis 2.0, you're free to believe it. I'm telling you, we're going to be sitting here Saturday nights in this very chat, like last year when DJU, and y'all was trying to convince everybody DJU was the second coming. Yeah. So we're going to be going through that again this season. But anyway, neither here nor there. Jordan Scott has decided to hit the transfer portal. Again, I think this is a guy that can be replaced. I think this is the guy who, you liked his measurables, right? The whole thing about Jordan Scott was his measurables. His measurables were elite level. Talk about 6'7". So you'll always take that. I saw some people really questioning why was he taken in the first place. I disagree with that take. I think it's easy in hindsight to go, why was he even a take? Well, the same reason why Johnny Wilson was a take. And everybody, if you remember, no one liked Johnny Wilson when that take happened, because the whole talk about Johnny Wilson was he can't do this and he can't do this. And the same thing I said about Jordan Scott, I said about Johnny Wilson. I don't know if he can catch or not. He's 6'7". He's a target. He's a player that a defense would have to scheme for, because that is a glaring weapon on the outside there at 6'7". Turned out Johnny was actually pretty decent. Turns out Jordan Scott, not so much, or at least that's what we think. They're moving on from Jordan Scott. That's fine. That's fine. Again, this is a guy that I think you can replace. So those are the three guys that in the last week that hit the portal. I expect more to come. And I would hope FSU is targeting some players in the portal as well. Dude left because he couldn't get on the road. I never said the reason why he left. I'm just telling you he's not a good quarterback. I would ask you, here's a question. Why couldn't he get in a rotation if he's such a good quarterback? And don't tell me because Bill O'Brien don't like mobile quarterbacks, because I would like you to go watch Deshaun Watson having his best years with Bill O'Brien as his head coach, by the way. So why couldn't he get on rotation if he was a good quarterback? You think Brock Glenn? I didn't say that. I pull up pull up. I think this is the first time I've seen you in the chat. So again, welcome. Appreciate you. And if you're somebody and you've changed your name or I don't know. No, I think the whole quarterback room is trash. And I don't even want to say Brock Glenn is trash. I just don't think he fits what we have going on here. Shout out to Brock Glenn for sticking it out and wanting to be a Knoll. That's awesome. Just don't think Brock Glenn fits what Gus. We've seen Gus's offense and what Gus offense look. When a Gus offense is explosive, is dynamic, is successful, we've seen the type of quarterback that is the leader of that offense. I don't think Brock Glenn is that. So it's not even that I think Brock Glenn's trash, just doesn't fit. I think, again, DC is, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. To me, he is trash. He is below average. Sure, he can run and do some things with his legs. That's going to be great until that's all the defense is preparing for. And when he has to drop back and throw, you'll see. And then Kevin Sperry might have a bright future, but I don't want to throw a freshman in there. So, no, I'm not a fan of the quarterback room as a whole. Especially not in year 6 of a head coach's tenure. That's fine. I've come to the conclusion that there are people that are going to stick by TC because he's your starting quarterback. I get it, but we'll see. I'm hoping Gus do what he did with Nick Marshall at QB because Nick Marshall was a safety. Yeah, here's the thing though. Nick Marshall also wasn't 5'7", 5'8", right? He was a longer athlete. Nick Marshall was like a legit 4'4", damn near 4'3" guy. He couldn't throw a lick either, right? He also had Trey Mason in the backfield with him. So he had probably more of a supporting cast than what TC's going to have, at least in the backfield with them. They also had a first-round pick on that offensive line. We damn sure don't have that. Like, I keep seeing Nick Marshall. Yeah. 1, that was over a decade ago. And 2, it sounds good, but then you got to look at what was surrounding Nick Marshall. Of course, they don't have any of that. And he's not Nick Marshall as an athlete. He's a guy that can do some things with his legs, but he's not Nick Marshall as an athlete. He's just not. Neither one of them can throw. Actually, I'll give TC this since everybody thinks I hate on TC, which, whatever. He's a better thrower. TC's a better thrower than Nick Marshall. Why are you going in on TC like that? Give him a chance. I'll take him over DJU. I mean, that's not saying anything though, but shout out to TC. I think we all are in agreement. We'll all take TC over DJ. Jordan Scott was getting worked by a true freshman. I like TC upside, but will hold my praise of the potential until I see what Gus and Mike can do with him. Hopefully he does. TC has more upside than DJ had, but what upside do we? TC hasn't been in college for a year or two. TC's on his 3rd football team in college. He's transferred twice already. Where's the upside? Where's the upside for a 5'8", 180-pound quarterback? Seriously, what upside are we talking? Y'all are going to make me be the bad guy tonight. Upside. Okay. He's got more upside than DJ for sure. We'll see. Thank you, Lewis. I mean, I said that in jest. That's not the. I said I was playing when I said that, Dupree. That was sarcasm. From all intent, everything from my understanding is that they moved on from Jordan Scott because he couldn't crack a rotation that really Deuce Robinson and Squirrel White, the 2 guys you brought in, haven't really participated in the spring due to injuries. And you can't crack the rotation over the Hakeem Williams of the world. So there's that. That's why they're moving on from him. I said he didn't. I said that I was playing. GM is. I mean, Gus Malzahn has been high on the freshman. Again, Gus Malzahn is he's hyping up the freshman over. This is what you know what's funny, and this is what everybody's glossing over. Gus Malzahn has seen Thomas Castellanos before and allowed him to transfer without batting an eye. I'm not so sure, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. When did Thomas Castellanos come over to Florida State? If I'm not mistaken, let me see if I can find that. He came over to Florida State before Gus was officially hired. I could be wrong on that. December 11th is when he transferred to Florida State. I'm about to look it up right now. I'm just, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and that's fine. I want to see when did they announce Gus Malzahn to Florida State. Gus Malzahn to FSU. December 2nd. Okay. So December 2nd, Gus Malzahn was hired. So I'm off by what? A week or so, a little bit over a week. Damn. I'm still not so sure Gus 100% wanted Thomas Castellanos. He said first sergeant, you bugging. Deshaun Watson isn't a good comparison. His best season was because it's passing, which is what Bill is about. But the point is he can work with a mobile quarterback if you can pass. My whole knock on TC is he can't throw. That's my whole knock on him. My whole knock on TC is he's not a good thrower of the football. So that's kind of, I mean, the comparison of the players isn't the point. The point is he can work with you if you can actually play the position. The man can't play the position is the whole point I'm making. So that actually, that works. That's the whole point I'm making, is that he can't play the position, which is why he wasn't in the rotation at BC by the time it was time to get out of there. To call the QB room trash, no, you bugging. Pull up. What's good about it? Okay. I mean, I hope he's listening too. Yeah, so pull up. I think you're new, which again, I love that you're new. Please subscribe if you're not subscribed. I say this all the time. I hope they're listening too. One thing about everything that I say, every player that I criticize gets a chance to go on the field on Saturday and make me look stupid, and I won't be mad about. You think I'm gonna be mad if TC is like throwing for 3,000 yards, rushing for 1,000 yards, and having over 30 total touchdowns? No, I'm gonna be ecstatic, and I'll say I was dead wrong. It ain't nothing personal with me. I'm just giving my opinion. Every player, I hope they listen and they get a chance to prove me wrong. I'm convinced to this day Jerry and Jones listened to me. When he made that interview and he said I'm convinced he was listening to me. Because he went out there and he eventually turned it around. 100% I hope TC's listening. God be with us. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. 100% crazy, KCS. I know, Zay. I know. Yes. They want to convert me over hard. They want to convert me over hard. All right, let's keep it moving. What's up, Caveman? I think he was cheaper option. To be fair to the process, and again, I'm not for TC, but I do understand to a degree the amount of holes this team had in the offseason. And if you look at caliber of O-line they actually added. That's where I believe the money went on that offensive line and the defensive lines. I think that's where the money went, and that's where it should have went. I think TC was a cheaper option than some of these than some of these other quarterbacks. And I think very similar to DJU, who else was reported to be interested in Thomas Castellanos? FSU didn't have to bid against anybody. They only bid against themselves. There was not another team that wanted him as the that should be another red flag to Florida State fans, but okay. There was not another team being rumored or interested in Thomas Castellanos. So I think he was a cheap option. They said, okay, we could add a mobile, athletic guy and maybe build and put some pieces like the Deuce Rob. They spent money on the Deuce Robinsons, on the O-line, on the James Williams. That's where the money went. That's why I think they chose TC. I can't necessarily fault the thought process because I kind of get it. I probably would have just waited. And then you see what's happening here in the spring. And so some of the players that are hopping out here in the spring, I probably would have took a stab at some of these guys. But that's easy to say now because they had no idea what was going to happen in the spring. So it's easy to say that now. At the time, I mean, I get the strategy. I just don't agree with the player that they picked. Yes, I was wrong about the Gus TC. Gus was hired first. He says, I'm with you. You're in year 6, and this is the best QB you have. If we can't run the ball and have to rely on TC, we are screwed again. What's up, Mr. H? How you been? What's up, Peter in the building? What's good, man? Yeah, I think Gus is lying. But if he said it, he said it. Then again, Gus ain't had a good QB val in 10 years either. So, Credible Detailing in the building, man. If you're in that Orlando area, go get your car checked out by Credible Detailing with the $9.99 super chat. He says, what up, POLK? As always, Chris in Orlando on the check-in. Shout out to my man, Chris, as always. Appreciate the love. And again, go get your car. Go get your rim job from Credible Detailing.
I'm in Tallahassee, I'm with the Seminoles. I've been getting to this paper, focus on my goals. Trying to run this money up and pull up in a row.
Can't throw. I remember we said the same thing about somebody who used to play here. You know the big difference between that somebody who y'all keep trying to compare this kid to and this guy? Well, that somebody spent 4 years in a system before it clicked and he got it moving. TC1 doesn't have 4 years. Mike Norvell doesn't have 4 years for Thomas Castellanos to learn the system. By the way, a new system that is not the same system that Jordan Travis had. Yeah, I see a lot of Jordan Travis comparisons. Hello, Wanda. Hello, Hank. Who was interested? Don't tell me some Power 5 teams. Name them. I would have took Jackson Arnold before TC. I don't even know why we're having these conversations. We talk about upside. Well, there's a guy with upside. Like the freshman QB. Think he might be a future. Should be much improved this year. 7 or 8 wins, or Neville needs to be fired. I mean, I don't have a problem with Kevin Sperry. Just hope we don't see him in year one. Mike and Gus's system is not this. It's not the same offense. All right, we're going to move on because one, we're talking in circles, and two, now we're just saying things just to say things. If you think Mike and Gus' system is not the same offense. Does it have similar principles? Sure. But it is not the same offense. I don't know. You have to ask Mike Norvell. I don't know why Mike can't recruit a quarterback. Here's what I do want to get to, though. So we're going to get into some of the rumor mill because why the hell not? I don't know how well you guys can see some of this, but I'm going to try to bring this stuff up here. Some of this stuff, if you're in the Discord, you have already seen. For everybody else, I'm going to bring this up. Now we're just going to talk about what's being reported. This isn't my reports. You can see the person who wrote this stuff. I got a lot of heat today because of some of the stuff. So Sanone writes these things. This is 247. And I want to start. I don't really care about the quarterback stuff. I just spent 30 minutes arguing with everybody about quarterbacks because I guess we have a good quarterback room and TC's going to be the guy. Hope he is. But I do want to talk about running backs. And I want you to look at what I'm looking at here in regards to Cam Davis. I don't know how well y'all can read that, but I'm going to read it to you. Okay. It says, one detail from a source that is worth passing along is that Cam Davis just hasn't taken the step forward this spring that I think FSU was hoping for. Apparently, there are some concerns internally whether Cam Davis has the running style to fit Malzahn's inside zone scheme. I also want to pay attention to, on the record, what he's saying here. I think this is a typo. But he says, I'm on the record as saying I think the group, except for Chroma, just doesn't excite me from an athleticism standpoint. Again, this is Brandon Sanone. Take from what you want. But I really want to talk about that Cam Davis thing. I really want to talk about this Cam Davis thing. So it's being rumored that he could potentially be a player that's in the portal very shortly. This report kind of co-signs that, especially if they don't think he fits. I was one of, not saying, I'm not saying I was the only one. But I was one of those people that was pretty adamant pretty early that I just didn't see that. I didn't see it with Cam. And I get the offensive line was bad. But I think when you're like evaluating players, right? Guys just eventually pop. Like something flashes. Even if the team around them is not up to par, even if he didn't have, like when you watch Dalvin Cook as a freshman, Dalvin Cook had his freshman moments. I mean, obviously everybody knows the Oregon game, but Dalvin Cook wasn't the man from the beginning, from the moment he stepped on the football field. We didn't go Dalvin Cook, it was just all world, but he flashed, and he flashed early, and you knew he could play. You knew Dalvin Cook could play. It would take him a while that freshman year to get into it, and after freshman year, obviously he took off, right? But my issue with Cam from the jump was I don't see that. I don't see no spark. I don't see that flash. I don't see that play. And he's had the opportunities to make a guy miss in space, to break a so I don't see any of that to go, Now you're hearing, apparently the staff is also saying, yeah, we don't see it either. So it's not a I told you so moment. More so it is like, unfortunately, that's probably a guy. If these are true and if some of this stuff continues, that running back room, I think again, man, and everything that I'm talking about all trends back to the fact that it is year 6. And the fact that we are relying on a true freshman in Chroma to really come and save that running back room because Cam ain't got it. We've seen enough of Keziah Holmes at this point that most of us believe he ain't got it. Nobody wants to see Roy Dell Williams because he ain't got it. Jalen Lucas has something, but he's also coming off an injury and he's undersized. No one thinks he's a every down back. He's more of a gadget back, I think most would consider in Jalen Lucas. And then Sam Singleton's the one player that's just kind of okay. We've seen him have some plays on kick return. If maybe given a bigger role, can Sam Singleton be the guy? He's the only real like outlier there that you can't put in one box or the other. Did you tell me my running back room consists of Sam Singleton and Chroma? What are y'all's thoughts on the Cam Davis situation? And then we'll move on to some more of the stuff here. Dupree says, I agree the running back room is weak. Our identity, we need to come off the run game with the threat of the play action pass. Yes. Cam doesn't have explosion. Just bad news on top of bad news. Damn, I like Dude too. I hope Dude could break out. I think we all hope he can break out. But again, it doesn't, running backs aren't offensive linemen. Running backs aren't defensive linemen. Those bigger body players, they got to develop their bodies to meet the demand of the grind. Again, man, running backs are just those skill position guys. You can usually see it, right? You can see what you got. Are the things that they have to consistently get better at? Sure. But you usually, with a running back, with a receiver, with some of those skill position guys, even if they're not playing well, you see the flashes. RS is not going to lie, I didn't see it either. I mean, we all saw that lack of explosiveness from Cam. You know it when you see it. Yeah, Cam's still no flashes. Grima says, I could see us losing one or two of the Cam, Singleton, and Holmes. I think we're probably losing one or two backs as well. I actually agree with that, Grill Master. One for sure. Running backs, right away, they showing something elite. Pull-up says, I don't think he has good vision. Is Cam Davis too big? That could be a legit question. Is he too big? Dalvin Cook used to scare the heck out of me. Was James Water a freshman or a sophomore when he plowed through Clemson's D-line in 2014? In 2014? 2014, I think he's a junior. I think James Water is a 2012 class of 2012, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's a junior in 2014, if I'm not mistaken. That's true, too. He did play QB in college. Very similar to Cam Akers, another Cam. But Cam Akers was an actual, athlete. I'm not so sure about Cam Davis. I know Cam plays, baseball and stuff, too. But, Cam Akers was an explosive athlete, I guess is what I'm saying. There's a few guys that's added. We can maybe go over that, but there's some names out there in the portal. What's up, Joe? Rodney Hill was better than Cam. I agree. Like, and that's actually that's actually a good point from Dupree. Like, with Rodney showed flashes. Again, not saying Rodney Hill's a world beater either, but anybody would take Rodney Hill over Cam Davis based off what you've seen. We saw flashes from Rodney Hill. Okay, he got a little something in him, but you never showed. Rodney showed more than Cam in the same time span, I think. And that happens to kids sometimes. Kids that are kind of just bigger than everybody else. What you look at Cam, I mean, he's a bowling ball, right? He's built like a bowling ball. Might be a guy that just capped out in high school. No, I think the point is, Grill Master, we got to see Rodney Hill have some freshman and sophomore moments that, again, he flashed. Cam is not for lack of opportunities. First game against Georgia Tech, Cam gets a pass out to the flat that would have been a first down, and what happens? Like, from the moment you saw Cam on the field, he didn't have it. From the first game, crucial situation, in the flat, wide open, pass hits him in the hands, and the freshman dropped it. And you go, well, it's a freshman. Well, hey, man, let's move on. I want to move on to the wide receivers. So here we go. I forgot Mekhi Danzy's been more involved in, I think, the track this spring, but so this is some of the wide receiver talk. And as you know, like Deuce Robinson, Squirrel White, Hakeem, injured. These are all the injured players. They're saying they feel good about Deuce and White when those two are healthy, though you ain't seen Squirrel White healthy yet, but I think they're just going that off of reputation. Obviously, Deuce Robinson, was having a good camp up until his injury. Everybody's been hyped about Javon Boggs, and I think that's for good reason. Probably one of the reasons why I got Jordan Scott up out of here. And Jaylen Brown, as you see here in the article. I'm not reading everything. I'm just kind of summarizing. He's been getting some praise. And we need that kind of over-the-top speed guy. I think you're going to lose two receivers come portal time. And that's not based off anything I think in this article, other than maybe the fact that Javon Boggs is better than some of these other guys that you brought in. I know everybody's talking about Hakeem being up on the possibility of being hit in the portal. Obviously, it's possible. And I think one more guy may very well be on the way out. I'll be honest with you. Outside of – because I don't think you're going to lose Deuce. Like, there's not any specific rumors around Deuce Robinson, but there is some rumors around some of these receivers, some of these more high-profile guys. Deuce Robinson's name was a name that I saw, and y'all going to think I'm making this up, but I promise you I'm not making this up. Because y'all think I have a vendetta against this guy. And I don't. I'm just telling you what I've been reading. There's been some talk that some of the wide receivers just aren't happy with the quarterback situation. Again, I'm not making that up. That is what it is. And that some of these guys, like, again, there's guys there that you don't care about losing. And then there's some of these guys, if Deuce Robinson was to leave after transferring here, that would everybody's head would explode. My head would explode. But there are talks that some of your more notable receivers just aren't really feeling it. Now, how do you smooth that out? That's up to the coaching staff to figure out. There's a lot of people that think, I won't say a lot of people, but there are those, again, that are talking, basically saying, Mike Norvell has kind of signed he signed his own check with who he chose as a quarterback. I won't even say his name because then everybody's going to tell me again that I'm just hating or making this up. I'm just telling you the things that have been relayed to me. I'm just telling you. You don't have to believe it. You can think I'm bullshit, whatever. I'm just a light-skinned dude on YouTube. So you ain't got to believe any of it. I think you lose probably two guys out of this room. I think you lose probably two guys out of this room. And one of those guys might be a guy that you don't want to. So just take that for what it's worth. Briley says, anybody think we ain't got to be able to block for shit again? And then our D-line ain't nearly as it should be against all these reserves in the spring, because I think we need big help in the trenches. If we lose Deuce to the portal, I'm not watching again. I don't blame you, dog. I'm with you. I'm with you on that one. You lose Deuce. I said I'm not watching the game. If Hakeem isn't faster than the DBs on the team, then get him out of here. I don't care if Hakeem can't run routes. It's college football. Put him in there for a few plays, run straight line if he's just fast. I don't know what's going on with Hakeem. I know he had the hand injury. There's been a lot of talk about him. So we'll see what ends up with Hakeem Williams. I'm always on the side of a guy like Hakeem. He was a 5-star for a reason, I believe. But busts happen all the time, and maybe he is just that. But the quarterback situation hasn't been friendly to a player's. I said it all last year, and I'll probably say it again this year. I don't put a lot of this stuff on the receivers, man. I don't think receivers have quarterbacks that get them the ball. The quarterback situation for the last 2 years is god awful. Last year, we saw what we saw. This year, we're going to see what we see. I just don't think we have the right quarterbacks, and so it makes some of these guys look worse than I think they really are. I'm trying to say Squirrel's leaving. I don't think I said anything about Squirrel. I said one person, I don't have a name for you, that you don't want to lose, might lose. And then I think another wide receiver, maybe probably a guy that nobody necessarily bats an eye over. Me personally, the only guys, not counting the transfer guys, I don't want to lose Elijah Moore, don't want to lose Boggs, and probably don't want to lose McCoy. I don't think there's a threat of losing a BJ Gibson because he plays baseball. But those three would be the only guys that I'm like, okay. Everybody else in that room, I probably could care less about. It may be a Jaylen Brown, just that speed and that different dynamics he brings. That's just me, though. Yeah, I would like to keep Lil. Did I say McCoy? I would like to keep him. I don't know if I said him or not. I would like to keep Lil Wayne McCoy. I thought I said Lil Wayne. I don't want to lose him. I don't want to lose Elijah Moore, and I don't want to lose. Who did I say? I said Lil Wayne McCoy, Elijah Moore, and Boggs. Those are the three that I want to keep on the roster. Seems like a bleak future. This is what we're at. I'm not buying the TC hype. Well, there's no TC hype coming from this way. As a matter of fact, it's TC hate. Offensive line. This might get interesting with some of this offensive line stuff. We're going to read that first paragraph. Micah Pettis and Gunnar Hansen have been limited most of the spring. We knew Gunnar, similar to Squirrel White, he was coming in with an injury So most people knew that Gunnar Hansen would have a limited, if no spring at all, because he came in with the injury. Told by a few sources that there is some internal frustration, multiple levels of the program with Pettis. Hasn't done much this camp. I'm gonna go over this one again. I'm told, now this isn't my words, I'm reading this obviously. I'm told by a few sources that there are some internal frustration within multiple levels of the program that Pettis hasn't done much this camp. You remember I talked about earlier in the show about all of the offensive linemen have to hit, which makes Jalen Early's departure so much more critical than people want to give it credit for. Well, Michael Pettis has done nothing this camp, apparently. Hansen was expected to miss most of the spring, recovering from a chest injury. But Michael Pettis, from multiple levels of the program, has a bunch of people frustrated with him. He is also being rumored to possibly be on his way back to Ole Miss. Just a rumor. Take everything I say with a grain of salt. I'm just telling you what the word on the street is. The constants have been Adrian Medley and Luke Pettibon. No surprise there with Luke. FSU was very pleased with Adrian and absolutely loves the way Pettibon carries himself as a leader. Of course, I'm told that Otto and Lucas Simmons have both done well this spring in terms of making noticeable strides. Those are probably your top reserves right now at center, guard, and tackle, respectively. So we're counting on Andre Otto and Lucas Simmons. Think about that. No Terrence Ferguson mentions, which can't be shocked about that. On the Jalen Early departure, it sounds like it was fairly abrupt. Still trying to get more details on what happened there, but I don't think the plan was for him to leave at this juncture of the spring. And that is true. Good point from Antoine. That was one of the knocks he had coming out of Ole Miss, is that he was lazy, is that he had all the measurables of an NFL tackle, but it was that he was 100% lazy. 100%. That was 100% the knock on him coming out of Ole Miss. And it looks like that is translated over. Again, the fact that you're hoping to hit on every portal take is already a risk in and of itself. You have to hope that Henson recovers from his injury and doesn't re-injure it because you rush him back or whatever too fast, which I'm not saying they're doing that. You just have to hope that he recovers the right way. You have to hope that Pettis isn't lazy, which apparently he's brought that over from Ole Miss, which is, in a lot of ways, how can you blame him? I mean, obviously you can blame him, and I'm not making excuses for him. But the point is, when that man came to Florida State, he knew they had no other options. Pettis 100% knew there was nobody there to challenge him. And you know what's even crazier? Despite that report that we just read, that Pettis is frustrating essentially the entire staff with his effort or lack thereof. I guarantee you he starts game one because as much as they say, oh, they're pleased with Lucas Simmons ain't ready. Because if he was, you'd move on from Pettis. Pettis will play game one because they have no choice but to play Pettis game one, despite how lazy he may or may not be. Because you don't have reserves ready to play. And I 100% believe you don't have reserves on that O-line that are ready to contribute. Against Alabama game one. Lewis says, it kind of seems as if FSU is a non-competitive school where second and third tier players can get a good check. Why I raised the question if Early is just an NIL pool. He knows there's no one. He knows there's no one behind. Well, but Early's not a starter, so that doesn't make sense. There's no one behind him, but there's people in front of him. So Early's not a starter. Again, that just doesn't – NIL doesn't make sense from a rotational player, in my opinion. Like, what are you demanding if you're Jalen Early? I have no idea what his NIL numbers are right now. What do you want? 400K or something? Like, what are you trying to demand if you're Jalen Early? And then where's the basis of that demand? What is up with the high volume of injuries? We have been having this problem. It's an abnormal percentage under Norvell era. And I know injuries happen, but this is crazy. What's up, Vontae? So those are just some of the rumors as we are Pettis is about to be our buyer's remorse. I like the spin on words you did there with all of that, actually. Those are our rumors, man. I think you're gonna see some more guys hit the portal. The portal opens tomorrow. You'll probably get some names out there that you don't want to lose. I mean, that's just typical. At this point, I've said it for a while now. Do not get attached, man. Just don't get attached to these guys. Don't get attached to these players. Don't get attached to these just don't get attached. Like, guys are going to come and go. That's just the nature of the college football game. Guys are going to come and go. And just, don't get attached to it. What I will say is FSU is going to probably lose some guys in the portal. The hope is, and I haven't I think 247 put out that FSU might be interested in Zaquan Patterson. Or I think that's a name they said to watch. I'm not sure, mutual interest there. I mean, it makes sense. I would like to see Zaquan. He could be – look, just at the end of the day, my only problem with getting Zaquan, it has nothing to do with him. It has nothing to do with him. Bro, we got so many DBs. It's like, okay, are DBs the only quality players we can pull at this point? Breaking news, North Carolina edge, Bo Atkinson's plans to enter the transfer portal. 6'6", 260. He's had 54 tackles and 11 sacks in 2 seasons. Appeared in every game and earned ACC Defensive Line of the Week on 2 years of eligibility left. I would say he fits 6'6", 260. I would say he fits. I'm not sure if that's a player we're interested in, but I think you need all the depth in these trenches you can get. I think Florida State should make the call. 100% think Florida State should make the call. What are we doing? Let's scroll. Let's see if anybody else is at the portal. Since Quayshawn Sapp, by the way, Quayshawn Sapp was said to hit the transfer portal. But just an hour ago, he tweeted, "Big thanks to the collective." Okay, so Quayshawn Sapp looks like he played a NIL move. So yesterday, it was announced that he was hitting the portal. Just an hour ago, Quayshawn Sapp is staying with the Mustangs. Good for him. Good for him. One of the running backs, the top running back in the portal, out of Cal, is going to Oklahoma. Oklahoma's going to be probably better than a lot of people are expecting. They got the top quarterback out of the portal, and now it looks like they got the top running back out of the portal. Breaking news. Auburn interior offensive lineman Brandon Joyner plans to enter the transfer portal. 6'2", 313, was named all SEC freshman team. It's time to climb. I'm just reading over guys that FSU could potentially be interested in. I think you need to add as many offensive linemen as you can. So that's just me. I'm just scrolling, y'all. FSU baseball is beating USF, or was beating USF 18-0. Holy cow. That was an hour ago. 19-0. FSU beats USF. FSU baseball. Shout out to FSU baseball, man. All right. And that's all I'm seeing right now. Tomorrow should be a fun day. I think tomorrow should be a fun day in the portal. Or it could be a miserable day. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens with Florida State in the portal. What's up, FSU Tony? What's up, Brandon? I was a huge advocate for NIL, but boy, I didn't think it would turn. Me too. I was a huge advocate for NIL. In a lot of ways, I still am. The problem is the NCAA has no guidance, it has no structure. And they implemented NIL with no thought process, right? No rules, no regulations to it. And now they're playing catch up. That's the ultimate problem, is they did it on a whim where it should have been a thought out, planned process. And we'd have a more controlled environment. They just allowed this thing to catch fire, and now they're going to try to reel this thing back in as courts get involved and things of that nature. Josh says the only way to fix this mess is to build it in the high school recruiting at elite level and stat classes, with using the portal to fill gaps, not be a replacement for recruiting. If Pettis was the first round pick, he wouldn't have came here. He had issues. Would definitely had issues. Said he had first round tangibles or first round traits was, I think, my exact words. Pot roast need to tighten up. Sap straight up swindled SMU. Sure did. I'm just ready to Mike for be gone. I will co-sign that one. Recruiting for FSU is horrible at this point. Norvell's lack of recruiting is why we're in the mess we have. No elite high school talent ready to play. FSU has never in on the top guys anymore. Portal high school recruiting is lacking. Evaluations ain't adding up. I'm just wondering, will FSU be cheap in the spring portal? I don't know if they can. I guess the answer to your question, Anthony, is how much do they want to win? Serious question to the chat. This is a serious question. I may have asked this question before, but I want to ask it again. And this is my question isn't what you want them to do, what needs to happen. My question is, if you look at this roster position by position, name by name, legitimately, you can factor in the schedule. I'm just off the top of my head. Tough games, obviously. Bama, Clemson, Miami, Florida. Anybody going to sit here and say that all those teams probably aren't better than you? Like, let's just be honest. So that's at least 4. I'm not saying we lose all 4, but for the sake of this conversation, right? That's 4 tough games. Just based off the roster, man. How many – seriously, how many wins and losses do you think this team is? Just based off the roster. Just based off the roster. Because I'm going to be honest with you. I need Florida State I'm going to be rooting, obviously, for FSU to win 9+ games. That is a pipe dream. I'm telling you, that is a pipe dream. But I'm rooting for 9-10. You get me 9-10, I'm not going to sing your praises, damn it. But I will be like, okay, maybe we can get back on track. Like, I'll calm down. Seriously, if you look at this roster position by position with who your quarterback is, who your running backs are, with the questions on the offensive line, defensive line, like, seriously, y'all, I'm telling you, bro, like, I want 9-10, but honestly, looking at the roster and the way it's currently built, and I don't think there's anybody in the portal window that you can probably feasibly add, right, that considerably boost your winning, unless you can pull in a top quarterback. I think, again, I'm going to sound like a hater. I know. I'm sorry. For those of you that like TC, just plug your ears. I think if you added a better quarterback, I think you would have a considerable better team. But instead, in my opinion, you have a limited quarterback who doesn't have the talent around him to elevate his shortcomings. And I don't believe he can elevate the talent around him either. So you have a guy who can make things happen on a whim. When the play breaks down, he can do things with his legs. But that's not going to win you football games. It'll win you moments. Right? He'll have some cool moments. He'll have some moments where he breaks some plays out. He'll get some things done. But he doesn't have, right? I really think this team starts and finishes with that quarterback position. If Thomas Castellanos is better than I think, then FSU will win 7 to 8 wins. I said he was a C- quarterback at best. If he's a B- quarterback, I think FSU wins 7 to 8 games. If he's above a B, right? If he's B plus A, then you're talking that. If he's B to B plus, I think you're talking 9-10. If he's anywhere in the A's, well, you're talking about competing for the ACC. I don't think he's in the A. I don't think he's B to B plus. Let's hope he's a B minus. Again, I told you where I think he is. At where he stands now, where I think Thomas Castellanos is, Florida State's a 6-win team, bro. Like, that is legitimately what I'm looking at when I look at that. I'm looking at 6 wins. And I'm trying to be optimistic, believe it or not. I know y'all don't think I am. But I promise you I'm trying to be. Let's go to the comment section. What score in game 1 makes you start hoping for losses? I mean, I would love for us to win the game, but I understand what you're asking me, right? So, based on what you're asking me, the scenario given, yeah, if you're not going to beat Bama, what I don't want, I'm going to be completely honest with you. What I don't want is a 27-24 game, because that is all that's going to do is have all the fanboys, all the defenders champion that moral victory. If Mike Norvell comes out and we lose by 3 points or something, in a close game to Bama, people are going to hang. I promise you, people will hang their hat on a close loss to Alabama coming off of 2-10. I almost threw up every time I say we went 2-10, I almost threw up. But we did that. If we're gonna lose to Bama, let's just get blown out. Let's get blown out and let's get the process going and let's get the guy. The guy should already be out of here. I've been on the record with that. You don't go 2-10 at Florida State, and I sit here and tell you can stay. Fire that dude. That dude should be jobless, or he should be working as somebody else's offensive coordinator, or I don't know, somewhere. He should be somewhere else. 2-10 and to still have this job is ridiculous. But if you're going to lose to Bama, get blown out. Either win or get blown out. I don't want any of that moral victory crap. We're losing to NC State? Very possible. Very possible, Joe. So I see 5 and 6. I see 4 in the possible. Okay, we got some spades players in here. 5 and 6. And it says, I don't know what Norvell better do because recruiting high-end high school kids can backfire now because these kids don't stay because they want more money and ain't done S. Luke K. I understand what you're saying, Anthony. I think the logic isn't that you're not going to have guys leave. Yes, just because you're recruiting high-end high schoolers, the logic is not everybody's going to leave, right? So you stack talent. So even when – see, the problem isn't that Luke K left, speaking from – the problem isn't that Luke left. The problem is that Luke left and you didn't recruit anybody that could replace Luke. That's the problem. The problem is Luke left and there was nobody on the roster that was highly – you get what I'm saying? Those are the issues. The issues isn't that Luke left. Guys leave. Who was there to replace him? For instance, you look at Tennessee and the Nico situation. Well, also go look at Tennessee recruiting-wise and who they have waiting in the wings. Here, I'll show you, as a matter of fact, just so we can be clear, right? Because this is kind of the point with the high-end recruiting thing. Because Tennessee leaving, that's a big deal, right? Tennessee leaving is a big deal. Not Tennessee leaving, I'm sorry. Nico, I think it was the number 1 quarterback coming out. Like, that's a big deal. Like, that's you just don't lose quarterbacks, right? But then you got to look and you got to go, oh, wait a minute. Who did they recruit? Oh, that's right. They've got guys waiting in the wings, right? This is the freshman that they signed this past class in George McIntyre, right? What about the 2024 class? They got another 4-star. Then if you go look at this year's class, they got the number 1 player quarterback in the nation committed. I don't know if y'all can see. Hold on. Hold on. Just so y'all can see what I'm talking about. Like, so the point is, like, yes, guys are going to leave. But look how healthy their quarterback room is going to be looking. So even when someone leaves, you go, well, we've recruited that position. We'll be okay. I bet you don't do that. You lose Luke Cromahawk, and you had nothing. You had nothing there. Is the point? Roster and health 7 to 8. Again, I don't want to tell anybody they're wrong. What is this? 7-5. If Mike doesn't win 9 games, then I believe he's gone. Should be. 7-win team. 7-5, 8-4. 10 gets us playoffs, I believe. Yeah, but where's 10 coming from? Based off the roster you see, you think this is an 8-win football team. I get it. Because those of you that are saying that believe TC is a good quarterback. So I get it. Again, I hate You can't say that. The schedule's soft. We went 2-10 with last year's schedule. Don't tell me the schedule's soft. Don't tell me the schedule's soft. We went 2-10. And we didn't have an away game on a Thursday or Friday night at NC State on last year's schedule either. Miss me with the schedule soft stuff. It was soft last year. We still went 2-10. We'll have more rushing yards than passing yards. It's possible. 9 to 10 wins due off what I expect the defense to be. I champion some y'all that think like this. I applaud you. It's delusional. It's la la land. But hey, somebody's got to do it. Mike's not going anywhere with that $55 million hanging over our heads. That's a whole nother conversation, but you're probably not wrong. If Mike doesn't win games this year, he's going to get fired. It's that simple. If he wins like 8 games with a decent class, he'll stay. What's up, Mr. Wolf? And you're probably right. Can't believe we picked up a 5'9" QB to lead this team. Whatever. The boosters are going to want to do both and let the new AD hire a new coach. Alfred ain't getting another bite at the apple. It's going to be interesting. I think 2-10 would destroy it. 2-10 destroys anybody's confidence. 2, reality is what reality is. Only in college football can your team go 2-10, and then people get on the internet the next year and go, we're going to go. And I get it. I know what Indiana did, but there's outliers, and then there's what actually, like, there's the rules of, there's the rule of thumb, and then there's the outlier. I know what Indiana was able to accomplish. I also know what is most likely to happen. So you can say it destroyed my confidence. I won't even deny that. 100%. 2-10, again, it broke me. But I can't come on here after 2-10 and sit here and I know what y'all want me to do. And there are other platforms that will sell you there's a bunch of snake oil salesmen out there that'll sell you all the bells and whistles you want. Under the hood is still a Pinto, though. Under the hood is still a broke down machine. And I can get on here and I can tell you that James Williams is going to be the next great sack machine at Florida State. I can tell you that Deuce Robinson is going to be a hell of a receiver. I can even sit here and lie to you and tell you that TC is going to be, like some of y'all have said, the second coming of Jordan Travis. Cool. You know what's under that hood? Under that hood and all that bells and whistles that I just flashed at y'all, under that hood is a head coach who has lost to Duke for the first time in program history. Who's went 2-10. I believe that's the first time in program history, or at least the first time in 50 years. That has lost to Mac Brown. Lost to him. Every record that can be broken at Florida State in a negative fashion, Mike Norvell has accomplished that. He's on the wrong side of every record at Florida State. That's what's under the hood. So all the bells and whistles are cute. And again, I can sit on here and lie to you, but the engine's still broken. And until we get a new engine, which is Mike Norvell, this is the state of the program. And that's just honestly what I believe. 2-10 should get you fired anywhere. This may well be a baseball channel at some point. Might be, man. But getting a good AD will require promising the AD that he can hire the coach that determines their own success. That's what an AD demands, and we won't have that funds to grant it. Lost Luke and Trevor. We get 10 wins if the QBs rush for 1,000 yards. Hey, maybe, Jerry. Possible. Nico jeopardizing everything. I think that's a dad thing there, man. Oh yeah, we lost to Memphis. I mean, we can go on, Mr. Wolf. We can go on. Again, we talk about we can go on. What's up, 850? I don't think we're dropping bags on high school QB recruits. Tennessee probably paying that guy $1 million in high school. Probably. That's okay though. If he comes there and like the way I always look at it is you got to spend some money somewhere. 850. And this was kind of the conversation I think we was having last year when it came to a few of those offensive linemen. If y'all remember, I think it was Petty, and people were like, well, we're not paying X. I think Georgia Tech paid whatever they paid for him. I forget what the numbers was. Some of y'all might remember. And everybody was like, yeah, we don't need to pay that much for. He was a 5-star, but was kind of looked at as a project because he's a little undersized. And my whole thought process was, well, you have to spend the money somewhere. So where's the money going? Look at the roster and you tell me where that money's going, y'all. The money that you didn't spend on Petty. Talking about Tennessee probably paying a guy $1 million in high school. Where the money has to go somewhere. Where is it going? You want to pay the money after that? Do you want to pay money to the 5-star Faison Brandon at a high school, or $1 million to Thomas Castellanos? I don't know. What I really want to see is the improvement on the recruiting trail. We have a decent record of 8-4. Mike Norvell has went 10-3, guys, and 13, essentially 13-0, 13-1. And he still never cracked the top 10. I think this whole notion of another reason why the man should be fired, we're going to recruit what – if you can't recruit – listen to this. Bro, Jermaine Johnson, Braden Fisk, Jarrett Verse. You can even add the Keon Coleman in there. If those players and the record that you accomplish, with the exception of Jermaine, with those players couldn't sell recruits, what's this like delusion? Again, I'm using that word, that all of a sudden FSU is going to go 8-4 this year and have a top 10 recruiting class. I know I'm saying a lot of things that a lot of y'all don't want to hear, but that's what I do over here, man. It's the goddamn truth for a reason, and it's not just because I want to shit on the product. No. The truth is the truth. Where are we getting this thing that Mike Norvell's going to all of a sudden start recruiting top 10 classes? He's never done it, even after great seasons. He couldn't manage it. He's not going to do it now. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yes, White will be a head coach somewhere for sure. As a matter of fact, I would even take – if that defense – I think it was somebody said that we win 10 games because of the defense. Let's just say that happens. White's probably a head coach next year. If he can carry this team to – if the defense is so good that it can carry this team to 10 wins, White won't last past this year. It's too late. I'm broken. I'm broken. We may never find out what happened last year. Or it'd be one of those situations where Mike gets fired and then we eventually find out X, Y, and Z happened, right? I said that's the only reason why I would keep Mike, not the fact that we're going to go that route. Okay, then. I hate this question. I don't know why this question gets asked. It's not my job to hire anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, who are we hiring then if Mike is gone? I don't know. All I know is that the current guy went 2-10. Figure it out. The easy answer, find me a coach that won't go 2-10. Find me a coach that can somewhat recruit the state of Florida. Find me a coach that can roll out of bed and at least have a top 10 class. How about that? Find me that person. I'm not asking for Dion, though. I'll be honest with you. The level this program is right now, the level I feel it's at, we're treading. I said this before, and I'll say it again. We're treading water very deadly right now, FSU fans. You're on the verge of being a mediocre program for a long time. I don't know if some of y'all don't realize how much we are really treading water with this program. Because I know what everybody's saying, and I know everybody's saying, Mike wins eight wins. He's going to stay. Well, I'm going to tell you what happens when Mike wins 8 and he stays. He's also going to recruit the number 19th class in the country. Mediocre. And you're going to stay mediocre for a long time. And then all of a sudden, we're going to wake up one day, folks, and we're going to be Nebraska. I'm sorry, Zay, but the truth's about to hurt you. We're going to be Miami. And we're going to talk about 2013 like Miami talks about the 2001 Canes. Seriously. And it's going to be 20 years, and everybody's going to say, well, you ain't done nothing since the snub 15 years ago. Nothing since 2013. If y'all aren't paying attention, we're already there. we're treading water on being there, guys. You think I'm playing? Listen to people talk. Be careful. Be careful. Fire that man unless I don't care who you hire. Well, obviously I care who you hire. But you're going to have to make – Jurg decided to put his 2 cents in here. He probably didn't like what I just said about the Canes. But, the truth is the truth. Be careful. Just be careful. You can tell I'm time for me to get out of here. My throat's getting dry, and I drank all my water. Brandon says, hard truth. Yeah, y'all caught a stray. It's okay. I knew y'all caught a stray. That's what I'm saying. You're already halfway to the 20-year question. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. You better be careful. How the tides have turned. This time last year, we were talking about Florida and that schedule and the way that team looked. And we were going, that's going to be a bad football team. Fast forward 12 months. Crazy work. And with that said, guys, I'm going to get on up out of here. Thank everybody for kicking in with me tonight. Hit that like button on the way out if you didn't hit it on the way in. Again, tune in tomorrow, man. Plan on having a pretty, it's going to be different. That's why I want to get all the FSU talk out here today, because tomorrow we're going to talk some ball and all this stuff, but we're going to talk a little bit of NIL stuff, with a guy who's kind of working. I don't know how much he can really I don't know how much you can really get into, but again, That's gonna kind of be the theme of the show tomorrow. Again, Kevin Anderson, former CFL quarterback, former XFL quarterback, South Florida native. I think currently working in the NIL. I'm interested to hear his perspective on that Nico situation and just how recruiting has changed since he's been a high school prospect. So if y'all are interested in that type of stuff, man, I want y'all to come in here, tune in tomorrow, show the guests some love, and have a different conversation than us just the therapy session that is complaining about Florida State football, which it is what it is at this point. Again, hit the like button on your way out. If you didn't hit on the way in, before you get up out of here, subscribe if you're new, share, continue to share the video to a Florida State fan who might not know that this is the most interactive show for the Florida State football fan. And, I got some Miami guys in here, Galaxy, Zay. I think Caveman's a Miami fan. Even share the videos with your Miami fans, man. I know sometimes Miami fans like to come and kick it with me every now and then. So go ahead and do that. Like, share, and subscribe. And as always, it's your boy POLK over here on 863 Seminole TV. Stay classy, Seminoles. We are out here.